Hey there, wish you all a very happy new year. I hope you have your new year resolution sorted. Welcome to the next episode of the Personal Branding for Professionals with your podcast. As a part of the series, we spotlight powerful personal brands across the globe to inspire today's professionals. I'm your host, Ketaki Vaidya, and today's episode is for those of you who are just getting started in your career. In today's conversation, we are going to cover all the tips and techniques that you can apply at the beginning of your career to make sure that you are excelling at your job and still challenging yourself every day. Joining us today is Jyothsna Patibandla. She has 16 plus years of experience in the information technology industry. She has worked with amazing companies like Wipro, Infosys, Oracle, and she is currently an engagement manager at Amazon. Now, when Jyothsna started her career, in the initial stages of her career, she felt that she was going with the flow. And one day she decided that she would start working on herself. So she began her personal branding journey, and that really helped her to boost her career growth. She's going to share all of these strategies with us today. And one peculiar thing about Jyothsna is that she likes to pick a new hobby each year. Some of her hobbies include travel, badminton, photography. This video has a lot to offer. Let's get started. Hey Jyothsna, it's a pleasure to host you. I am so excited about the conversation that we're going to have today.
Hey Ketaki, thank you for having me.
So Jyothsna, we'll begin with your journey. How did it all start? How did you eventually get into being a leader of your industry?
So, I did my engineering in electronics and communication. I wanted to do something in the VLSI domain because I did a certification there and I was hoping to start a career in that. But I ended up being a IT engineer. So I joined Wipro. I served 4 years there as a software developer. So I started my journey as a front-end web developer, and Wipro was a best place for me to start with. And after that, I worked with other service company like Infosys for some time before joining Oracle. So Oracle being my longest stint, so I worked close to 10 years, and I have learned a lot, being there. So I grew up my ranks there from a software engineer again, designer to a lead and then a manager. So I learned a lot in my journey at Oracle, and that's where I even met a lot of wonderful people like you.
Yeah.
Currently, I'm working with Amazon. So I wanted to explore something little different, which I never did in my experience so far. I wanted to do something very close to the customer because whatever I have done in my journey. So I did like web front end development, and then I became a manager. And when I became a manager, I was equally nervous like my team because I never did a people management. That is something which was not done by me earlier, but I did that successfully, and then I felt there is a void. I was not doing a lot of customer interactions. I spent whole career doing some product development or design, but my interactions with customer and how do I deliver results successfully to customer was missing. So that's when I got into Amazon, and I'm currently doing a very different role, which is a cloud engagement manager. Working with larger engagements, delivering outcomes that customers need. So this is a unique experience for my profile as well. Yeah.
It's great to see how you've progressed in your career and now you're a leader in your industry, and you definitely had built a personal brand at your workplace which helped to elevate your credibility, right? Everything that you were doing, you were able to project your accomplishments correctly and all of that. So how did you realize the importance of personal branding?
So it's not very easy. What I would say, biggest mistake which I did when I started my career is just going with the flow, right? I was not focused on what I want to do, what I want to become after 5 years. I didn't have any serious goals. So, few years went just like that with the flow. I was doing whatever comes in my plate, delivering, but I did my best, whichever task I did, right? That I knew that I can do anything given to me, but I didn't have any goals for a long term,
Right.
right? So
Hmm.
that's when I realized I already spent a lot of time, and I think in my mid career, that's when I realized, why am I just going in the flow? Why didn't have any goal?
Hmm.
So that is one thing. And also, I realized that the perception that I had about me is not exactly what my higher management thought,
Hmm.
right?
True.
So when I was doing my work, I just focus on what work is given to me and deliver it to the best, right? So I was working in silos. I knew that I can do anything best, but I realized that others are not seeing the potential that I had,
Right.
right? I could do much more, but I got that wake up call when I met a senior manager or the senior leader. When I met, I realized that, oh, they're not seeing what I can really do,
Right.
which means I'm not showcasing myself to that level. Maybe I'm just
Hmm.
doing the work given to me. I'm not really going to the higher ups, right? So that's when I realized that I'm not showing the brand that I have, so that I can pick much more tasks. Like, I can deliver better than what I'm
Hmm.
currently, right? So I think, yeah, so I understood why it is very important, and I started doing a lot of things, showing visibility of what I
Hmm.
can do, by networking with people, doing a lot of engagements in organization. And that's where, I realized doing a particular task in your product, like you might be developing a
Hmm.
product, just doing that will not gain visibility at a higher level, right? You need to do some extra credits,
Definitely.
right? You need to be innovative. If
Hmm.
you feel that you can do anything out of the box, are others feeling the same about you,
Hmm.
right? Are you doing something out of the box and giving such ideas to others, and you're being assertive and, showcasing your capabilities to others? That's when I realized, and I started doing a lot more. And I think that opened up the opportunities for me,
Right.
right? So I networked with people, I learned from them, and that gave me more opportunities. And, I got a sponsorship, right? So when others saw that, yeah, Jyothsna is capable of doing certain things, they sponsor that, maybe for this role we need to keep Jyothsna, right? So
Right.
that's where I was able to showcase my brand, and I could grow in my career.
And that's a very great point that you've brought in, that often we have some perception of ours, and is that the same perception that others have of us at our workplace? So that's when the personal brand at your workplace has to talk for yourself. So even when you cannot be at certain places, your name should still come up when that particular opportunity is being considered, right? And you said one thing, that it's very important to build a personal brand, and it's very important to be assertive at times. So I have this question for you, that certain times when we are assertive, it's taken up as being arrogant. So how would you handle being assertive versus being arrogant? How can we get along with that?
That's a very good question, which you often experience it,
Right.
In my career also, I felt, am I assertive or am I aggressive? You
Yeah.
know, so it is just that how you portray, it's in the
Right.
communication style, right? So we need to not only communicate in a way that we are naturally, but
Hmm.
what we need to do is, understand the other audience, right? If there are audience in a particular room and you are communicating, so you need to understand the audience around you and communicate accordingly, right?
Right.
And if you show that in a very let me put this example. You know everyone in the room, and you have a very good rapport with them. You have very good, and they know very well about you. In that case, when you speak your heart out, like when you say something very naturally, it wouldn't be in a offensive mode, or people won't treat you like you're being very aggressive, you're just throwing your points. It wouldn't happen. But when you have a mixed audience where you know that 50% are with you and the others are not with you.
Yeah.
You know that, right? So when you know that, you need to give an opportunity for others to first speak up, right? So go to a meeting and you be very open to others, what others are going to say, right? And also one thing that I would say is when there are juniors, or right, the audience, let's first, if I'm a senior in the room, what I should do is I should let others speak, right?
Hmm.
What are the other ideas that others have? Can I build upon that? Can I coach them, and finally we all come to a consensus of this particular idea is good or not,
Hmm.
right? So you need to do your prep work based on the audience in the room, and you need to showcase it in a very acceptable manner, right? So other technique what we would do is, when you know that you have a decision, I think you would have known already. If a particular decision has to be made, that the decision is made before even you go to the meeting, right?
Exactly.
You know how that has been done, because you go to each and every leader and you discuss first, this is what I'm trying to propose, what do you think about it?
Hmm.
So should I, you get that kind of feedback before even you go and present it,
Right.
right? You work on the idea, you get the feedback, and then you go and present in that room. By then you have already taken
Get
care
the
of the
context.
feedback provided.
Yeah.
The decisions are made before you go to the meeting, right? So
Hmm.
how do you do it? You meet your be it mentors, or you meet those higher ups or managers before going to the meeting. You
Hmm.
discuss what you're planning to propose, you work on that, you consider their feedback, and you just go to the meeting and propose it,
Hmm.
right? By then everyone is in agreement to your proposal, and you get an acceptance. Now this is all, when everything goes good,
Right.
right? But at times you might still receive a feedback that you are aggressive,
Hmm.
right? So I think it's up to how we take it. If you think that is, you just introspect. What did I do? Did I really communicate in a tone that is aggressive, or
Hmm.
in a what do you call? You're not considering others' ideas. That's something which you introspect. If you
Hmm.
feel that you haven't done anything in such a manner, then I think it's okay, because not everyone goes with you, right? There's always a positive and a negative feedback for you. But as a person, introspect and think about what you have done and what you could have done better,
Hmm.
right? And if you yourself, and if you felt that you could have communicated in a better way, please note it and work on it for the next time,
Hmm.
right? So it's a continuous learning for us. It's an experience for us, and we need to just improve our communication styles.
Right, and a lot of times I've seen that this especially happens when you tend to disagree with a person, and then that is not taken in a very healthy way, and that might not be your fault. So you can only do things that are within your control, but whatever is beyond your control, those are just the things that you cannot help. You can definitely try to influence, but those are these external factors that creep in, which you just have to accept and then go ahead with that. So what happens at a lot of times, and I've seen this, is that all the employees, as you said, they have some perception. So they think overall the entire year, they think I'm doing really great. I think I'm exceeding expectations. Everything is going well. It's only in their appraisal that they get to know that, okay, you were very average. Your performance was very average last year. You could have done this. You could have done this. And then they get into this defensive mode. So your manager might be trying to tell you that, okay, maybe your work is very good, but we cannot see the work that you're putting in. So you're not projecting it, or there's no visibility around your work. You're not actually making an impact. But then that is taken in a very defensive way. So I feel that the key to progressing in your career is also the fact that you should be able to be open for feedback. You should be able to take that feedback, because only that will lead to your personal growth. So how would you suggest that someone learns to handle even the negative feedback that comes their way?
Okay, so before I answer this question, I want to suggest something for appraisal system. So it is not always true that you wait for your manager to talk to you at the end of the year,
Right.
right?
Hmm.
So set up some time with your manager, be it monthly or be it bi-weekly, whatever works for you. Just set up the time and have a progressive goals for you, right?
Hmm.
Hey, and understanding the expectations, setting the expectations and meeting those expectations is something very important,
Right.
right? So this you should do before even you have your appraisal by the year end, or
Hmm.
half yearly. Don't wait for the time to meet. So you need to meet periodically, whichever time works, and you need to understand how is it going so far. Is there something that's not going well? What can I do about it,
Hmm.
right? And have a development plan. What I need to do. So there will be some organizational goals. So we have some OKRs that come in, and we try to meet those goals. Along with that, also have some personal goals that you want to meet and have a deadline to that,
Hmm.
right? I want to achieve this in next 6 months. I want to achieve this in 1 year, right? And when I do this, probably you can also have a long term goal. By next 3 years, this is the role I'm trying to envision, right? I
Hmm.
want to play this role.
Right.
So you need to work towards that. And what happens then is there won't be surprises for you,
Hmm.
right? You're meeting frequently and you know how things are going. So
Right.
year end, when you really meet, you're not trying to prove what you have done in the last entire year, right? You have the data points ready, and you have your mention in your system very crisp data points, not writing lengthy stories,
Hmm.
what were really accomplished, and what were your expectations. So it's a very easy thing to handle, right? So I would recommend that definitely. Please don't wait for the year
Hmm.
end. You plan your expectations and have a goal. Then you go and talk about it.
Right.
Now, coming to negative feedback, it happens most of the time. We need to be open for both a positive, we call it constructive feedback, and we also give a feedback. We call it actually constructive feedback, right? So what does that mean? Means if there is something for improvement,
Hmm.
maybe that's what they have realized, and as a well-wisher, somebody is telling you, you accept it. You don't have to be defensive then and
Yeah.
there. Oh no, I haven't done it, right?
Hmm.
So you need to come back and think for yourself, what would have made that other
Right.
person, say this
Yeah.
particular feedback. Did I really do, or did I
Hmm.
not really do, right? So I think we should not get into a defensive mode.
Hmm.
Understand it, take your own time, in decoding that particular feedback, and work on it,
Yeah.
right? So you don't have to show that you really met this. Your work proves that. So
Hmm.
when a particular feedback is given, that sometimes even I got the same feedback. Let me give this example. Everyone thinks that I'm too direct, right?
Hmm.
Or maybe my tone or my communication style makes others feel that way.
Hmm.
But when I'm at work, I'm very natural, right? I feel that I'm very open to people. Especially my team. I'm very honest and I'm very authentic. So
Hmm.
I take it that way. But not everyone feels the same, right? So when I got that feedback, I really worked on it. Oh, I need to be a little indirect, or not think what I want to do, but I should let people say what they want to do, right? So
Hmm.
I worked on it, and over a period of time, I could get through that.
Yeah. So you make two very great points here. One is that when it comes to your feedback, you should solicit regular feedback, and sometimes it might not be a part of that system. Your system might require an annual review, but no, you can still control the fact that you can schedule regular meetings, and it's very important to build a relationship with your manager too, because that's how your manager would know what your goals are, what are your short-term goals, what are your long-term goals, and that's how you can also get connected to opportunities that can help in your career growth. And that's very important.
That's
So
true.
that
That's
is
true.
definitely a huge key in improving yourself and to also align yourself with the expectations out of your role and the expectations that your manager has for you. So that is definitely one thing. And the other thing that you talked about is the negative feedback, right? So it's often, it also might be a fact that you did not do what they said, but you can still think of what led to that impression. So when we get started to build a personal brand, especially when we're starting a career, what tips you give that build a very effective personal brand?
See, personal brand is not something you work on from particular time, right?
Right.
So I realized that I should have a personal branding after 5 years of my career, and then I start building my brand. It's not something like that,
Yeah.
right? So what it means is who you are as a person, right? And what are your core values,
Hmm.
right? What do you like doing, and what are something which are not your forte,
Hmm.
right? So you need to know that yourself. What are my strengths, right? And there will always be weakness. We don't have to worry about that. How can I work on my strengths, right? How can
Hmm.
I use my strengths as my brand,
Yeah.
right? So that is what we need to do as an individual, be it at professional career or personal career, personal front. You need to understand who you are and what you want to do and what makes you happy,
Hmm.
right? At the end of the day, we do a lot of things not because someone is watching you or not because someone is expecting you to do. It's because you like doing them,
Yeah.
right? And when you do something with wholeheartedly and with honesty, if
Hmm.
you do the best,
Yeah.
right? So you need to identify those and you need to work accordingly. You need to portray. So when I started my career, no one told me that, hey, Jyothsna, you're really good at doing this,
Hmm.
right? So I'll tell this example. I think again in my mid career when I attended a program, I went through an excellent course called, Reflected Best Self. So what I had to do as part of that, I approached my childhood friends, my family, and my ex-boss, right? A lot of people, close to 20, 25 people I approached and I asked, hey, what do you think about me?
Hmm.
Don't tell me what I did wrong. Tell me what I did good,
Hmm.
right? What would have been my strength from according to you?
Hmm.
So when I did that, I really got some wonderful stories from them from my childhood, which I didn't even remember, which I
Hmm.
didn't even recollect, right? So when I really read those, I realized that this is me, this is my strength, which unknowingly, I've been doing it all the time, right? So that gave me some kind of assurance. This is what others also noticed in me, which I
Hmm.
have in me very naturally,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So I just listed down, okay, these are the positive things or these are the strengths that I have. I need to leverage them and keep doing anything that where I can leverage these strengths that I have
Hmm.
inherently,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
So, that's how I started working on that. And let me tell you, when I realized that, when I had the realization, I started networking with a lot of people.
Hmm.
And I wasn't a public speaker, right? I wasn't really, open to uh, meetings or open to public speaking, attending the crowd. I
Hmm.
wasn't really good at that, but when I was naturally doing things, it became very usual for me, and I was happy doing that.
Networking is a very important tool. I definitely agree. But let's say that I've started my career and I want to begin networking. And initially, even when we just start our career, we are very afraid to take a step because we don't want to be judged. Everyone is forming an impression, and that time it's a very clean slate. So that's when people are forming impressions of you. And if you want to start networking at that point of time, how would you suggest people about?
So there are a lot of forums in your organization, right? There are a lot of affinity groups in your organization, and where you are interested in, right? So you need to start making yourself, part of those groups or part of the forums where you can go join, learn
Hmm.
from them, because everyone has a perception that I need to sit at my desk for 8 hours or 10 hours to say that I'm very hardworking person.
Yeah.
I do every deliverable if I'm sitting at my desk all the time, right? That's not true.
Yeah.
You can be a smart worker and you can still contribute to a lot of initiatives that are happening in your organization,
Mm.
right? There could be an innovation, right?
Mm.
Spark with some idea. If let's say you don't have that idea, you just talk to people. Hey, can we brainstorm? Can we think about what ideas can we generate amongst
Mm.
us, right? So that opens up, that way you start communicating with people, and you meet a lot of like-minded people in the organization, who have the
Mm.
same interest, and you learn from each other, right? So networking is a key thing, and when you meet someone in other team, so just ask casually, hey, what's going on in your team,
Mm.
right? What is it that you're working recently? Can we just have a chat? What interesting thing you have been doing recently in technology or
Mm.
domain. So open up your conversation with something that you can learn from, right? And what happens is when you open up, that you might think that there is a problem that you are facing and they're also facing the same, which they have already solved it, right?
Mm.
So you don't have to reinvent it. You can start sharing that, hey, how did you solve this? Because I had the similar problem and I couldn't fix it till now, right? So
Mm.
this way, when you start talking, when you meet people, when you go to these forums, there are a lot of things, interesting things that you learn. And if there are any opportunities within the org that others are waiting for someone who has these capabilities, you can say, you know what, I think I have the same uh, interest and I have the same skills. Maybe I'm a right fit there,
Mm.
right? So what I would suggest is first talk to the individuals, talk to different team members. Don't just sit at your desk and be in your own cocoon
Yeah.
doing the tasks that you have, right? So you need to be very open, and that's how I met you, right? So
Yeah.
I like organizing events because I thought I was good at delivering not just product deliverables, but I could
Yeah.
also do a lot of events successfully.
Mm.
So I was like, when I can do, why can't I contribute,
Yeah.
right? So that's how I met a lot of people. And
Mm.
what I would like is I try to learn from every individual I meet,
Yeah.
right? Everyone is good at something. So, hey, she's doing it exceptionally and very efficiently. How
Mm.
is it doing? How is she doing it, right? So
Yeah.
we need to understand and learn from everyone. That's how I learn and I network with a lot of people.
Yeah, and when we begin our career, there are so many people that we meet and they tell us about the mistakes that they made, which we can avoid when we start our career. And it's very important to get all those perspectives to give you a very holistic view of what you should be doing. And you talked about the events that we should be a part of. So these can be technical events, these can be events that are not all related to your work, but they still give you an opportunity to network with a lot of people. But I have a
That's
question here, and I've seen this as a personal example in my team as well. That I had a few people in my team. What they did was they had just joined the organization, and right at the beginning of joining, they enrolled themselves in a lot of events. Okay, a lot of events that were not related to work, and they started contributing and going overboard on those events, even when they had not established their credibility yet. They were not doing their best to deliver whatever was expected out of them. And then that gave an impression to the manager that okay, this person is really not interested to work. This person wants to do everything else. I want to
yeah.
understand, yeah. So I want to understand that how should we handle such a situation, because it's very much possible. This is again, it goes back to the perception. This person was not trying to do that. This person was being very sincere at work, but at the same time, in spite of working hard, they were not able to convey the same to that manager. And at that point of time, enrolling in that event, it proved to be a disadvantage for them.
So let me tell you, all these are interrelated,
Right.
right? So if you had met and you know what is expected out of you at
Hmm.
work, right? So if you had that conversation and you know what were your expectations, you need to work on it, and you need to first make yourself credible
Right.
at the workplace, right? That's the foremost thing,
Hmm.
right? And when you did that, and when you built that credibility, and you also are a very social person, right? Or maybe you're not really a social person, but
Hmm.
you want to network and you want to develop your, it's your development plan that
Right.
you want to network with people and you want to learn certain things,
Hmm.
right? So how do you do that? You definitely have to attend the events, tech talks, lot of things that keep happening in your organization.
Yeah.
But having a balance of it,
Right.
right?
That's very
You
important.
do the work, and you also try to do other things, extracurricular things, when not at the cost of not delivering results,
Right.
right? You deliver results. At the same time, you had like 1 hour of time. I'm going for this, right? I want to spend some time, and
Yeah.
making your team aware that this week I have some additional aspects. I had couple of events. If there is any dependency with me, I would like to work on it first and deliver it so that it won't impact your work,
Right.
right? So you need to be very open to that. If you think, okay, I just did my work and I'm leaving, it's not like that. Even though there are a lot of individual contributors, sometimes there are others who are dependent on you, right? On the work that you're doing.
Yeah.
So you need to talk to them and resolve those dependencies first. There are no dependencies on me, then you go and do anything apart from that,
Yeah.
right?
And yeah.
Maintaining that balance is key,
Right.
and we should not forget that what is foremost and what is the important aspect that I have to do. I should do that first.
And that is a prerequisite of that is a prerequisite before you go beyond your team, that you whatever is expected out of you, you deliver that. There should not be anything that you any opportunity that you leave within your work where you can elevate your credibility. That definitely you have to grab every opportunity. At certain times there are these problems that you see that you can solve, a common problem that the team is facing, so you can try and solve that. You have to be able to undertake those challenging opportunities which no one else has thought about. That's how you stand out. And once you've established your credibility, then you can definitely go and be a part of these events, because by then everyone knows that no matter what this person enrolls in, they're definitely going to get their work done. And that impression is very important before you're trying to
Exactly.
exceed your expectations over there.
Very true.
Yeah.
I want to say one tip here. You don't have to go overboard, to do extra things,
Yeah.
right? When you knew that your calendar is very hectic this month and next month, you know what's the work pending, right?
Yeah.
You just have to say no at times.
Hmm.
But like personally, for me, it's very difficult to say no. So I go overboard and I commit a lot, and I get burned out.
Yeah.
But what you need to do is you don't have to say that you'll do everything. You just have to identify what's good, what you can deliver, and accordingly accept that.
Yeah.
We have to say
And
no sometimes.
at certain times it's very critical, as you said, it's very critical. The piece of work that you are currently enrolled in is very critical, and at that point you should be available for your team, because you know that okay, everyone can run into issues. This is where I have to be completely available to my team, and at those times you don't enroll for these events, and that balance is very essential. So you might be able to figure that out 1 or 2 years down the line once you start a career, but it's also important to have that at the back of your mind, that how is this being viewed as? Is this really a distraction as of now? Is this something that's needed? Should I do it right now? Can I maybe postpone this later? So to constantly prioritize the things and to do what is the need of that hour, that's very important.
True.
Which people fail to do at times, and then because it's the very initial stage of their career, it begins to set their eventual impression, and that's how their personal branding evolves in that direction, which they did not mean to go to. So it's also very important to have conversations with your manager where you understand what is your manager trying to hint at. Is your manager encouraging you? Is your manager someone that does not value this a lot?
Totally true. Sometimes you feel that it's not even valued by your manager. That's
Yeah,
what you said, right?
yeah, that,
They think, I think you need not do this. they might even say, hey, you're doing a lot of things. I think it's fine if you don't do it. But why are we doing sometimes is because we are good at doing that, or it gives us happiness, right? So we do a lot of social uh, assist activities as well, right? Because we want to give back to the society, right? It's not something tied up to the appraisal, but it is something that's tied up to you,
Definitely.
your core values. You want to do it, right? So you need to assure that you're doing these things not at the, when there is work, you definitely deliver it, right? So as long as your deliverables are not impacted, I think you can say that you can set the expectations. I would meet, I would deliver the work, and I'll do this in parallel.
Yeah. To read between the lines. Sometimes your manager is trying to hint at something, so you just have to understand what is this manager trying to say. Can I do something to maybe align all my work and interest along this? Because eventually that is going to affect my performance feedback, right? So then you yourself give weightage to that, and whatever events you want to be a part of, you balance it in such a way that your manager does not view it as a distraction or view it as an impediment for work. And one thing that you said is having a career development plan. What I've seen is that people, they often tie themselves to these short term goals. Okay, I'm aiming for the next promotion, I'm aiming for the next good appraisal rating, and we just jump from one to the next, and these short term goals, they define the flow that we're taking. But it's also very important that your manager is kept informed of what is your long vision. Do you want to get into the leadership? Do you want to get into the technical architecture aspect of your product? It can be anything. So depending on your interest, to discuss in your appraisal what your long term goals are. So how would you suggest that someone starts with enlisting their short term and long term goals, and also try to communicate that to their manager?
See, when we begin our journey, so we were just placed in some team, and we start delivering something. It will take at least couple of years to realize what you're good at, right? So you're good at analytics, you're good at coding, or you're good at quality. You never know, right? When you start doing some work, you develop interest in certain things, and you start liking some work, right? So after a few, like couple of years, you know what your interests are, and you know what you want to become after a couple of more years, right? So that's the crucial point where you need to think long term, up to 3 years, up to 5 years, and write down yourself uh, what's your long term goal and what's your short term goal, right? And this is where the visualization exercise really plays importance. You need to sit and think, what where you want to see yourself in 1 year, 3 years, 5 years. Write down, and whatever you do, you work according to that, right? It could be in your personal front, or it could be in your career. Writing down the goals really is important. And once you have identified that, it's not very easy, as I'm speaking, right? It's not very easy to come up with that plan. It really takes time, and it needs to align with your interests. What makes you happy, and what's your purpose, right? Binding everything, when you come up with goals, that is when you discuss and formulate your development plan in the system at work, right? And when it is in the system, why in the system? It's just a measuring, right? Having smart goals. Why do we write smart goals, and why do we write these development plans? Because we want to achieve them with a time bound to it, right? When you bind something, okay, this year I'm going to do this, right? When you already identified goals, and when you put it in the system, you're trying to meet that goal, right? And don't just put it there and forget about it. We need to work on it, right? Because most of the times we get, as I mentioned, which happened in my career also, we go with the flow, and we forget to meet some goals that are really planned for you, right? Or you wanted to do, but you didn't do because you're just going with the flow. You're not dedicating the time that you really should in meeting those goals as well. So For all beginners, like whoever joins right after the campus, it takes some time, because you want to first understand what your interests are and what your expertise is it. Once you realize that, it's definitely a must have to write down your goals and align according to that.
Yeah, and I also feel that it's equally important to let your manager know about what your interests are, because often people think that when they go and have a
Yes.
conversation with their manager, all that they talk about is just restricted to their work. So they have these walls around them that they talk about this team member, that team member, this initiative, that initiative, but it's all connected to your team's work, and they don't go
That,
beyond that. And managers actually appreciate when you have a plan for yourself, and when you're able to keep them informed about your journey. That okay, let's say that I'll give you my example. What happened with me was that with my previous manager, I was very vocal about my interest in transitioning to the data science field, and that's when my manager saw an opportunity and nominated me, for the to the higher management, that okay, this girl is having this interest, she's already built her skills, she's done a lot of personal projects around it, I think we should consider her. So I couldn't have done that if I hadn't informed my manager about my interest. I would have never even known about that opportunity, because it was at a very high level. No one, it wasn't published anywhere. So there are things like these where I feel that what if I wasn't vocal about my plan? What if my manager was never informed of what I wanted to be, what I wanted to do? At the same time, certain times I also want to talk about my interest in being a part of the event. Let's say that Oracle is having an external event, there's a TEDx talk, or maybe I get an opportunity to be a speaker, and I want to show my manager that I'm interested to connect myself to such opportunities. It's very important that my manager knows that okay, I'm a good speaker, maybe I can do this. And that has taken time to build that impression. It has taken some time, but my manager knows about my interest, and my manager knows when he can nominate me for that particular opportunity if it lands up. And managers are totally aware of these opportunities. So it's very
yeah.
important to put forth what your interest is. And that's the reason that I want to understand how is it that we can communicate our career development plan to our manager.
I want to add one thing here. It's not just our manager, right? We
Yeah,
need to be visible to the leadership team, right?
definitely.
So when we take part in a lot of events and
Hmm.
tech talks and forums, you're visible, and that's where you showcase your brand to the higher ups and the leadership team, right? And when you perform certain duties in the interest of your whatever achievements you want to do in the long term,
Yeah,
so that opens up opportunities not just within your team but even
yeah,
outside,
yeah.
right? Because you need sponsors from the higher ups.
Hmm.
It need not be directly from your own manager.
Yeah,
Your leadership team should know what you're really capable of, because when there are opportunities outside, multiple teams or different units, you need to be visible, and
correct.
you should have already showcased that, right?
Yeah,
So don't limit yourself for the team. Please interact whenever there's an opportunity. Please talk to your leadership team. Be vocal about your interests, right? And it's not a bad idea to meet once in a while,
hmm.
say hi, and have a chat. What are the other opportunities coming? Are we coming up with any new teams or new work? Just have a chat and express your interest there.
Yeah. So when we talk to our manager about our career development plan, uh, do you think? I mean, how should we go about it? Because what happens is sometimes you're being very elaborate about it, and your manager wants you to be precise. Sometimes your manager is not in the right state of mind to discuss that then. So it's also important to understand whether your manager has time, whether your manager is free at that point of time, and then you talk about these things because these are important to you. We often think that okay, this might not be very significant to my manager, I should not bring this up, but it's only when you speak up that your manager truly knows what you're capable of and what your interests are. So how do we share our career development plan with them?
That's actually the basics that we do, right? Whenever we plan a meeting, did we schedule it the right time, right mood, right? And do the opposite, whomever you're meeting, do they have time, right? And first, we get that assurance. That's the basic that we follow. Hey, is it good time to talk? If you're not occupied, and we go there prepared, right? You should
Yeah.
have your data points ready. You should
Hmm.
have your script ready. What is my plan? I want to do. It's not just you go there and talk for an hour and couple of hours, right? So preparation is very important, and you should know what you really want to do. You have
Hmm.
scripted it, and you just go and speak about it. And if you want a feedback, hey, this is what I'm thinking. What do you think about it,
Hmm.
right? Ask. You should treat your manager as a what do you call as a partner in your career growth, right?
Right.
When you feel that, and when you have the trust built, things will be easy,
Hmm.
right? You need not be very uh, too formal about it. You need to first open up and start having the discussions. And if it's not a good time, that's fine. Schedule another time.
Yeah.
Don't get offended. Oh, I'm not getting any time to talk. It generally happens. Uh, so fix a right time and right place, right? If it's too crowded, there are so many people walking in and out, you just feel free to say, hey, I think you're very busy, let me come another time, and
Hmm.
you fix another appointment and
Yeah.
start discussing about it.
And yeah, once you establish that relationship with your manager where you're comfortable sharing your goals, then it really becomes easy for you to follow your journey, to get your feedback, and even to progress in your career. And that's very important for your career growth, no matter who your manager is. And as you said, it's also important to have visibility with the higher management. So it's very important to keep everyone, to be vocal about your goals, and to keep everyone informed that this is your intention, this is where you want to get maybe 5 years, 10 years down the line. Once you've learned a lot about yourself, once you know what your interests are, you constantly propagate that, you constantly broadcast that to your manager, to the higher management, so that you can connect yourself to such opportunities. And
And let me tell you, most of the times, not everyone will come up with a development plan, right?
definitely, yeah,
As a manager, I had to push my team. Hey, what do you think you want to become, right? Why
yeah,
don't we sit and discuss on what we want to do, right? So that when an opportunity comes, I will put you first there. I know what your aspirations are, so I put you first there. So at times, if you don't open up, at least your manager should be, open to guide you and coach you through that path. Having the goals defined and development path defined, and
hmm,
working towards that is really key, right?
yeah,
When I led a team, it was really hard because not everyone had a goal, or a long term or short term goals. But speak to them, like this is like I'm talking as a manager. So I speak to them. I try to understand what they want to do.
hmm,
Accordingly, I align the opportunities, right? So okay, this person is interested in so and so thing. So they come first in my mind when that
hmm,
opportunity I see somewhere, right?
exactly.
So
And people are often intimidated by their managers because they haven't established that comfort level with the manager where they can talk about their goals, or where they can even get that feedback which is necessary for their career growth. Because unless you get feedback on what you can do better, there are definitely things that you can improve. No matter how good you think you are, you can improve on a lot of things. And it's important to set that comfort level where your manager can tell you that, see, you're doing this is great, but this is how it's impacting the team. So maybe this is an aspect that you can improve on, and that's how you grow in your career, right? So to view your manager, as you said, as a partner in your career growth, rather than just being intimidated and not sharing anything, just keeping yourself restricted to the work that you're doing, it's not going to help in the longer run. But now I'll tell you the $1 million question which comes to my mind here, that let's say that someone's an introvert, how do they approach this? Because as an introvert, it's very difficult to even speak up to one person, let alone your manager. So in that case, networking, talking about your accomplishments, talking about your goals, all that becomes very difficult.
I totally understand what you said. There will be introverts. It's very difficult to make them, be open in the meetings. So this is something which a leader understands, right, in a room, who are the active people and who are the passive people.
Yeah.
We need to really understand, and instead of um, you need to approach them. Hey, what do you think? Right? You
Hmm.
need to probe questions and ask. Hey, if you are in a meeting, we need to ask and give opportunity to them to speak up, right? And you need to understand whether they are open to sharing the ideas in a group, or they're not even open to sharing the ideas. We need to understand that, and sometimes it's not a good idea to disturb someone in a big meeting room, right?
Definitely.
So maybe such cases you need to have one-on-ones,
Hmm.
and you need to understand, hey, I see that you are being very passive in the meetings.
Hmm.
I totally get it, right? We need to be supportive, and we
Yeah.
need to work on how we can make them good communicator,
Hmm.
and who can speak. We don't know, right? They might have fears. They might have uh, fear to speak in a meeting room,
Hmm.
or somebody were like, maybe my ideas are not even appreciated. That's why I'm not. I won't speak. Why should I speak in such meetings? We don't know. They have their own worries about. But as a manager, what I would do is have one-on-ones and try to understand uh, what is the reason, or how can we build on that.
Hmm.
And if you feel that there are no reasons, it's just naturally a person is not, he's an introvert, or he or she is an introvert, what you do is you try to put in some soft skill training, or try to put in some forums where they can
Hmm.
break that
Right.
uh,
Yeah.
fear to speak. And eventually over a period of time, you see that they have become an excellent communicator, or uh, we have to work on that. So all this is possible only when you share and when
Hmm.
you have a plan, right? So you have a team of 20, and you know that everyone is active. So sometimes without even managers help, you start speaking, you
Yeah.
start mixing with everyone. So what plays a key role here is the team chemistry,
Hmm.
right? So when I join a team, it takes some time for me to understand how this team works. What are the nitty-gritties? Are they very open, not open? It takes some there'll be some settling time for me, but I need to build that rapport, and I need to start working on it, right? So if everyone is quiet, you also tend to be very quiet. That's where I don't know how I can't imagine such teams, but you need to start speaking up. Yeah.
And it sometimes it's often not talking to everyone that's required, but or talking to one or two people who can help you, even to get their advice. And that's where the role of mentors also plays a very important part in your journey, right? Because you go to your mentor, you get the advice. Your mentor helps you to open up. Your mentor helps you to be comfortable and to give you the advice of what the next step is. So when we get started in our workplace, how would you suggest that we find the right set of mentors to guide us?
That's a key thing which everyone should have, right?
Yeah.
Having a mentor you can identify within the org, or outside org, or be it in the
Hmm.
personal front. Having a mentor really plays a important role, because not everyone is open to going and speaking to their managers,
Yeah.
right? So you need to look for someone outside whom you have that relation, and whom you trust, so where you can open up. You need to definitely have a mentor who can help you grow in your career,
Hmm.
because you'll be very open to them. You start sharing your weakness, and they will definitely guide you how you can approach, right?
Yeah.
So I'm telling, right, these days whoever joined just out of the campus,
Hmm.
they don't believe in mentorship, or they think that it's fine, I'm just doing everything good. But
Yeah.
having a mentor is very very important, because uh, they guide you through,
Hmm.
because they have the experience how to achieve things, so they can definitely coach you and guide in meeting your goals,
Yeah.
right? And
Def-
at work, you should have both mentors and sponsors also. So
yeah.
why I say sponsorship is because they are someone who can make things happen,
Hmm.
right? So they can vouch for you and your capabilities. So at workplace you should have sponsors definitely.
Definitely. So
So you need
having
to
these sponsors
identify.
and mentors, as you said, that is a crucial element to getting you where you want to be, where you getting to where you envision
Exactly.
yourself to be. Because often at times it's just the sometimes it's about the confidence, sometimes it's about the perspective that they bring, which is a very unbiased perspective. Because you look at your journey through your own lens, and to have someone else look at it without any bias or without them being accountable for being good to you. They can give you the honest reality. They can show you what the reality is. This is how you're doing.
That's true.
This is where you can really do better. This is something that you're not realizing. Only then we are able to handle those blind spots we have for us, which we cannot see. But a person who's looking at it from an outside perspective, they can give us a better idea of what is it that we're doing wrong. And that having that guidance, and especially when you're just getting started, that's very important to define the roadmap that you would have in that organization or in your career in general. Right.
And one other thing, as we grow, what happens is you also need to have a learning circle, right?
Hmm.
At your peer level,
Hmm.
right? It's not just always mentors or sponsors. You also need to learn from others of your same experience.
Right.
So what you need to do is identify those other individuals who are doing, programming, or the domain or
Yeah.
functionality that you are doing. Identify those who have mastered in that and try to even approach them once in a while. Hey, I'm trying to reach there.
Hmm.
What would be the right thing to do? Have a learning circle, at your expertise level, at your functional level, and learn from that as well,
Yeah.
because mentors may or may not be in your domain, right?
Right.
They may be in the IT or they may not be in the IT
Hmm.
industry, right? But if at all, they're not from the IT and they don't know the kind of work you're doing, you need to identify someone who are doing that particular work
Yeah.
and learn from it. So we need to do a lot of groundwork and preparation in
Yeah.
order to meet our goals. Yeah.
These things take time and they are often the hardest. And I something that I've realized is they are harder than the actual work that you do. So initially, when we before entering the corporate world, we often think that okay, if I am in the software development industry, coding is going to be the most difficult part. But 1 year down the line, you get into that zone. You now understand how you should code for the production level. So that's fine. But that is where these aspects start mattering a lot, because these are your chances to stand out. These are your chances to get where you want to go, and to even present yourself with opportunities that can help you prove your worth in that organization or even within your career. So I'm going to ask you one thing which I've often seen and people struggle with is it's not a very rosy path, right? When you are trying to establish yourself, you often find people who are trying to turn you down or who are trying to constantly discourage you, and they are doing everything that is possible within their limit to demotivate you. So how would you handle such people at work?
So you come across a lot of people, and it may not be rosy all the time.
Exactly.
You meet someone, it's because of the competition or whatever. So having a healthy competition is good,
Hmm.
right? You should have a competition. If you don't have a standard, okay, I want to meet that particular standard, then you won't grow or you won't learn. So you should definitely have a competitive environment, but maintaining that healthy competition is very key.
Yeah. True.
But sometimes when things get dirty, you don't have to discourage yourself.
Hmm.
We might take it too hard, or we might feel
Hmm.
very disappointed. You need to learn one thing. There will always be people who support you, and there will be other 10%, or who
Yeah.
don't support you. But
Yeah.
what we need to learn is to move along, and as long as you are doing your best, uh, not hurting others, and not getting dirty from your side, I think it's good, right?
Yeah.
We need to just keep motivated ourselves, self motivation, and what is the purpose that you're doing.
Yeah.
Don't forget that purpose, right? You are doing some work because you have your own good intentions, and you have your own uh, you know why you're doing it, right? As long as you know that, just keep doing whatever you are. Don't get yourself impacted and affected by the negative vibes or all that, right?
Definitely.
So if
It,
you feel it's good to talk, I would say go sit with that person and talk. If it's in a good condition, like if you think you can handle it,
hmm,
best thing to do is try to understand the other perception, because
hmm,
maybe unconsciously you would have done something which affected them. So trying to understand, what is that thing that could have affected, right? And how you can avoid it in future. It's also a good thing to do. uh, if you think a person has been affecting you a lot and negatively spreading something, if you come across that, my suggestion will be to go sit with them, have a cup of coffee, and try to understand what's going wrong. Have I done something wrong? Because my intentions are not that, right? uh, Others might think you're stepping into the shoes of
them,
them, you're
yeah.
trying to do their work. If that's the feeling, just have a good conversation and try to clear it.
Hmm.
But even after that, something is not working, what is impacting it. You can correct yourself, or you can just be aware of those
Hmm.
situations and personalities, and handle your communication according to those situations,
Yeah.
right?
True, true. It is important to challenge ourselves every day at our workplace, but at the same time, when you run into these kind of situations, which can actually create a very awkward environment in your workplace, because you don't know what you have to do, you don't know what is the next step that you can. So, if possible, we try to confront. But even if it's possible that in spite of that, that person does not change, or there are certain things that you just cannot change with the conversation because it's just the nature of that particular person, then you do whatever is in your control and you concentrate on your own career growth. You just let that go, and that is something that I've learned the hard way, to let things go. Because what I used to often do initially was that even over the weekends I would sit and think about all those negative situations that came my way,
Yeah.
and that would really impact it personally as well. Because every time I used to just think about what happened at work, this was good, this was bad, and I didn't want this to happen. And sometimes it's not your fault. So to let go, that is an art which you have to build for yourself over the years, but you don't have to worry about the things that you cannot control, because sometimes it's just
Yeah, you shouldn't be too much worried about other things. The
yeah,
circle of control, you have circle of influence, right?
right,
Something which is not in your control, and it should not let affect you, right? And there's something which is not in your circle of influence, you cannot influence at all. That's fine, right? You
right.
focus on what you can do. Keep less attention, and don't focus on some things that you cannot do. You just have to come out of that.
Thank you so much for sharing all of this, because all of these are things that people you don't usually talk about. They talk about everything that is positive, but at the same time, it's important to address what are the negative aspects that can affect you when you're getting started. And the fact that you were being so honest about all of it, you were being so upfront about all the experiences that you've had. Thank you so much for sharing all that. The biggest takeaways from our conversation today for me, one was that no matter which person you meet, you always have to learn something from them. Even if it's a person that you dislike, you still have something that you can learn from them, because that helps you in your career. You try to take tidbits of every person, what they are good at, and you try to implement it in your life to constantly grow and to challenge yourself every day. So thank you so much for your
Thank you.
time.
Thank you so much for your time. I hope I made some sense
Definitely.
with my experience. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I hope you learned a lot from this conversation. If you are just getting started in your career, let me know in the comments below what struggles you faced and how you tackled them. I would love to know more about it. And if you found value in this conversation, please, please, please subscribe to my channel. See you next Monday.